So these days, there's a lot for what we're going to refer to as the modern prepared citizen to think of. There's a lot you have to consider, prepare for, and ultimately spend money on. So what we wanted to talk to you about today is thinking about the things that you absolutely have to spend on and some areas where you can save, because lucky for us, we live in a modern age and manufacturing has come a long way. And there's some amazing areas where those manufacturing techniques have gotten so good and products are so proliferated across the industry that you can get really good stuff for less than you think. Now, what am I talking about? Well, let's just consider what I'm wearing right now. Currently, I have Cry JPC 1.0 on. I have ESAPIs, radio, backpack, food, water, compass, maps, GPS. It's a lot of expensive stuff there. And a lot of that I didn't save on. I spent good money because I needed good gear that I could rely on. I have good glass. Glass is expensive to manufacture. It's a technology-intensive process. And to get good stuff, you're going to spend a little bit of money. However, I have a wrist compass from Sunto. It's $23 on Amazon. It's completely analog, and I can rely on it to always give me really good directions, cardinal directions that is, as long as I know my magnetic offset. I have PMags. They work great. They're $8. And in a lot of ways, guns are moving in that direction. This is the Saber from PSA. And PSA actually is an extremely vertically integrated company. And that's why we're featuring them on the channel. They do a lot of white labeling for a lot of companies that you would be surprised that, maybe anyway, that they make products for. In fact, they make so many good products for so many good companies that things like their rails, their barrels, their bolt carrier groups, their uppers and lowers are all extremely high quality. But you're going to get them at a price that you may not consider cheap, but is going to be substantially less than even the companies they're white labeling for retail them for. Now, where they don't make certain products or they feel that the quality needs to be there, they use other companies' stuff. For instance, the B5 grip and stock on this. They're great. PSA didn't make those. They don't need to. They're using quality products. The trigger from Hyperfire, it's their entry-level trigger, but it's fantastic, and I can get super fast splits on it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. For the modern prepared citizen, where can you save, and where do you still have to spend? So let's dig into it. So what exactly do I mean? Well, I guess that's a fair question. Let's start here with the basic specs of the gun. It's a 13.7 cold hammer forged barrel, and it's 13.7 because of, well, the NFA. That's a whole different video. But this is the shortest barrel you can go with a pin and welded muzzle device where you're still going to meet the overall length requirement for barrels. It's a great barrel. It holds up for many thousands of rounds, which hopefully you will spend the money to actually shoot and train with, because it's more important. And that's really the whole point of this video. There's the old saying, it's the Indian, not the arrow. And there are some areas where that is not entirely true. Fighting at night is one of those where night vision equipment will, depending on its quality, set you apart and give you certain abilities and options that you would not have otherwise. But in general, mindset is key. We've observed over the modern recorded history that the American fighting spirit and the American mindset when it comes to warfare is somewhat unique in the world. And it sets us apart. And despite our habit of ultimately losing wars, we tend to win at a tactical level because of that. And you can win at a tactical and strategic level if you make smart purchasing decisions and you work your mindset. And of course, you get that all-important training. Now, we're not a gun review channel. We make optics. We make some of the best optics in the world, and we stand by them. But let me talk you through basics of the gun. So we've got ambidextrous selector. We've got standard capacity magazines, a very nice but affordable trigger. Like I said, cold hammer forged barrel, a nice rail with M-lock all the way around, Picatinny on top. And this is set up for a general purpose gun, right? So we've got the 1:6 Voodoo up top. It's great glass, it's extremely clear, and it's got enough magnification for me to use the 55 grain ammo that most of us train and stock out to all the practical ranges that you're going to be engaging. And we've got the E-Flex on the offset here so that I can do quick follow-up shots without having to dial my magnification. I'm running this in a Unity mount. Unity is not the cheapest out there, but they're extremely high quality. They are an engineering company first, and they stand by their products, and they have very specific thought-driven products, and that's why we're using this mount. It's high enough that I can use the E-Flex under night vision, and it's high enough that in a variety of shooting positions, because in real life, most of us aren't shooting slow fire in the prone, this mount's gonna be at a perfect height for me to use. The gun is lightweight. It's accurate enough, it's extremely versatile, and I can suppress it if I want to. And that's honestly reflected in my kit. I have food, water, navigation. I have fire starting ability and basic shelter and warming stuff. I can survive 3 to 4 seasons where I live on the East Coast with everything that is on me right now and in my backpack. My backpack clips on through these HSP hitchhiker clips so that I can drop it in a hurry if I need to, and it streamlines it into my kit really well, so it doesn't bother me and dig into your shoulders while you're walking. There's a saying in the military that 99% of the job is waiting and being bored, and 1% is exciting, at least in the combat arms, and that's very true. Most of the things that you're going to do in a end of the world, zombie apocalypse, whatever situation you want to imagine it as, most of what you're doing is trying to survive, not in lethal force engagements. It's that everyday living, surviving, eating, sleeping, finding shelter, and being ready to defend yourself that's going to make or break. And it's going to be the dividing line between the skilled and the unskilled, the alive and dead. So my kit reflects that. My rifle here reflects that mentality. And getting back to the point of the video, that is why we feature this gun. A lot of you are going to come at us saying, oh, PSA is cheap or PSA doesn't have the quality. But honestly, if you understand the business structure of Palmetto State Armory, like I said earlier, they're vertically integrated. They are making a ton of products, and they're making them at scale, and they are actually pretty high quality. They're good enough for me to trust and stake my life on and still have enough money left over to do what I said was most important, which is train. If you buy a $5,000 rifle and $50,000 worth of night vision, you're gonna look awesome on Instagram. But if you have no money left over to train, because you have to spend all your time working, that's not gonna do you any good. So, if you want more information on the rifle, you can of course check their website. But let's dig into the functionality and the purpose behind this whole setup. PSA is not the be-all end-all, of course. If you have the money to budget for extremely high quality gear, do so. Assuming you can still get your training in. There is a value to very high-end gear. It's why it's high-end. But you have to keep in mind 2 things. One, if you're a 3 or 4 MOA shooter, do you need that 1 MOA gun? Notable exception, of course, being ultra precision rifles, super long range shooting. There's no getting around spinning in that area. But otherwise, built for reality, not for Instagram. And like I said before, train. Train with your gun, train with your everyday setup, train with all your prepared kit. Because ultimately, that's what's gonna matter. And budgeting for that and understanding where the quality exists in the market within your budget is critical. It's why we introduced the Voodoo X line of rifle scopes, in fact. Yes, they're second focal plane, but do you need first focal plane? Can you run an offset, keep your optic at maximum magnification where you zeroed it as a second focal plane optic, and have all the same capability, or near enough to not matter? And the second thing to keep in mind is environment. This gun is built for where I live on the East Coast. Farthest I'm gonna shoot, as you can see, is probably 200, 300, maybe 400 yards on a power line trail. Most everything else is gonna be inside that 400-yard envelope and up close. It's short enough and light enough to do CQB. I've got the offset, and I've got the Voodoo for observation and longer range shooting. But at the end of the day, again, it's about shooting and training and your capability. And this does all that for me. Now keep in mind, As I've said, there is a certain value to high quality, and there's a lot of quality to be found at lower prices. Something you may have noticed on the channel is sometimes we do show some very high-end stuff. But most of those companies are companies that are close partners of ours, like PSA. They sell a lot of our optics, and that's great. We're not promoting them because they're a partner. We're promoting them because we believe in what they do as a company and their products. We're not going to show anything on the channel we don't believe in. But you should not necessarily base your purchasing decision solely on what some guy in a field on the internet is showing you or telling you. You have to ultimately inform yourself, which means doing your research. But I think you should invest that time in yourself because you're worth it. This is not a simple topic, and it's not a simple problem set to solve. But ultimately, you are capable of solving it and setting yourself up for your success in your own situation. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any comments or questions, put them down below. Train hard, live free. See you next time.